Let's go.
Right. Greetings, pernickety buffoons, and welcome to Outta 10, a vague attempt at podcasting by two idiots chatting about I'll start that again.
Okay.
I said it too quickly and I got excited.
I think it would have been really good if you got it wrong and we carried on.
Well, technically that is what's happening now.
So should we carry on? Or do you want to say it again?
I'm going to say a vague attempt at podcasting, really vague attempt, by two idiots chatting about pop culture. My name is Albert, and with me is Nick.
Hello.
Good. And this time we're here to discuss... That was really smooth.
Nice.
And this time we're here to discuss the new Strokes album, The New Abnormal, which was, for us, released last night, but by the time of uploading was released about a week ago, probably.
I don't know, yeah. It was released on Good Friday.
Released on Good Friday, and it was a good day for all of us.
Because they will crucify and blame us. Yeah.
Wait, does he say that?
Yeah, and the adults are talking, so I was thinking...
Does he?
Yes, I was thinking, is it on
Son of a
purpose that they
bitch.
released it on...
That little minx, they
Yeah.
absolutely did.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
they will
incredible.
blame us, crucify and shame us.
Well, that is a very good...
And it's in the first verse.
Very Strokesy thing to do, yeah.
And for them to probably not ever talk about it and pretend it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to try and start this off, I suppose, by talking about the Strokes generally as a build-up, because they're a slightly confusing artist in terms of their discography, and this is sort of considered to be a return to form for them, so it's probably important that we talk about how important they are.
Oh yeah, but they're one of the most important bands of all time.
Yeah, for basically kick-starting rock for the 2000s, essentially.
Well, yeah, kind of guitar rock in the 2000s.
Yeah,
because obviously
but taking the mantle
art
off
rock was still
Britpop.
going. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And start and sort of helping to kick, not the only ones, they sort of represent the kickstart of the sort of garage rock, post-punk revival, indie pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
All mixed into one.
I consider them the kings of indie pop, really, of the 2000s, really. I think
that's kind of hard to argue with, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, they have sort of an infectious energy to them, which makes their first album, Is This It, such an incredible record. And I think still the best of the genre. I know you think it's second best, but...
I think the best post-punk revival album is Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, by the Arctic Monkeys.
I think it's a close second. But either way, we both agree that it's an incredible...
Oh, it's still top 2
10 out of 10.
It's still top 2 in that genre anyway. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
No
one's really
and it is
complaining
an absolute
about
10,
it.
and it is one of my favourite albums ever. And it's just one of those perfect lightning in a bottle records, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You couldn't sort of beat it. And that, I think, is partly what kind of goes wrong for the Strokes, as their kind of trajectory is all about trying to move past it.
But they deal with it a lot better than a lot of other bands who have that problem, like Keane have that problem. A lot of bands... The Arctic Monkeys have that problem.
Yeah, they have some horrendous teething problems.
Yeah.
The Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
I mean, and most people do. I mean, so for the Strokes, their second album, Room on Fire, pretty much continues what they were doing pretty well, and was almost as successful, but sort of being a little bit more soft, but sort of a little bit more rich in sound. You know, slightly. I don't know. I'm gonna say maybe slightly more mature.
I don't know if it's more mature
sure.
because some of the lyrics. So like 1241.
1251.
Sorry, is one of them.
Yeah, idiot.
That makes me look I don't know anything what I'm talking about, but I can play it on guitar.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
I have listened to it a lot.
Yeah, they're still quite juvenile, and I think
juvenile.
the personality of the Strokes, especially early work, is characterised by Julian Casablancas, the lead singer's sort of apathy towards everything going on in his life.
Yeah, and it is,
which is probably why he's so relatable to sort of, I suppose teenagers.
Yeah, and I think apathy is just his thing. Anyway,
yeah,
that's.
And I think it's something that that's a very sort of teenage thing. To be in a man who's, now in his 30s, but he still has that.
It's crazy. It just
extent.
doesn't feel like he's growing up. I'm going to check his age quickly. Wait, Julian Casablancas.
What?
So he's from 1978 is when he was born.
So 2001.
He's 41. He's 41.
So how old was he when Is This It came out? Did you say 78? So he would have been 23?
Yeah, around
23?
Yes, he'd been...
That's very young.
Yeah.
Well, we got to do something with our lives. We're nearly 23.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, no. Wow, I didn't expect to feel that depressed.
Be right there, honey.
Be right there, honey. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, we still got... that's all right. We still got like 10 years before we're at that point, so...
Yeah, well, they were saying
Mo-
that on their little chat show that they're now doing, they do like a little.
Oh,
weird
I haven't seen the
podcast.
second. Yeah, I haven't
Oh,
seen the
have they
second
done a
episode of
second
that. I
episode
really
now?
want to. They have. I think it's them talking about the album. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
competing directly with them.
Well,
Essentially.
exactly. I imagine this.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll know more about it than them.
Yeah, definitely. We're
Because
definitely going to know a lot more about their.
I mean, they don't even
albums.
remember what the song 50/50 is, and we do.
Yeah, shocking. I mean, you probably know that better than I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, their trajectory after that takes them to First Impressions, which is the first sort of confusing wobble where no one knows what's going on.
Well,
really.
because half of the record is seriously some of their best stuff, and half of it is an absolute mess.
It's seriously bloated.
I would, and I would say though that none of the music drops the ball. That's the thing. It's Julian.
No, and
Julian drops the ball.
Sort of, and that, well, to be fair, and that is something that comes up again later, weirdly.
Yeah.
But they're leaning into sort of hard rock and actually expanding on their sound is sort of successful half the time.
Yeah, because
one of the problems that the Strokes. Yeah,
I was going to say,
no,
"You Only Live Once" is one of the it's one of the most indie rock 2000s sounding songs ever.
Absolutely,
and the riff is just one of the best riffs going.
Yeah, however, that does sound like it probably could have come off Room on Fire. Which shows that there are still attempts to move on are still kind of a bit wobbly. Yeah. I would say.
Yeah.
But they have so the biggest problem really in First Impressions is that they don't really know what ideas to say no to.
Do you think? Yeah, it's 14 songs. It does have the Hail to the Thief issue that Radiohead have, but obviously Hail to the Thief, every song is still a 7 out of 10 or above. So it doesn't really matter. But there's a few serious missed. It's just
we can still listen to First Impressions of Earth all the way through and still find it enjoyable. You've just got to be really attentive to make it.
You've got to be really up for it. It's for me, it's Electricity Escape, Killing Lies, Fear Asleep, and 15 Minutes. That's 4 songs in a row that I just wish didn't really exist. I think there's great bits. I think 15 Minutes, if I'm up for it, is quite funny. It's very punky. Yeah. It's one of the most punky sounding songs ever. It's very Ramonesy when it gets going. But I mean, I love the last 3 and I love the first 4.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, that's 7 songs. That's half the album. And I think on the other side, Vision of Division and Ask Me Anything are perfectly palatable. Yeah, there's great moments in all of them.
It's just if you're gonna make part of your album a bit dull, I mean, it's gonna have to be the middle. But that makes it so much harder to get through. I mean, it's not that far off an hour long, which is just silly.
It's just it's not. It's by far their longest album. It's not what you go. Yeah. It's not what you go to them for. You go Room on Fire is ridiculously short, and so's I know that Angles is just over half an hour. It's like 31 minutes or something.
It is. Well, and that's where we seem to differ from a surprising amount of music critics and even fans, in that we both actually really love Angles.
So we think that Angles is hugely a return to form for the Strokes, and I think we'd both argue it's their second best album.
Definitely, and they incorporate an electronic sound and sort of new wave ideas,
but not to such a huge extent that people think. It's like when you read
about, they don't sell out either.
No, not at all. And it's they incorporate the new sound of the Strokes, of what they would sound like on Angles, Come Down Machine, and this new record actually with early Strokes really well. Like Undercover of Darkness, it has the riffiness and it has the proper New York sound to it.
It's the infectious energy that's back again.
Oh yeah, and it just makes me so happy. It's so summery.
And the sense of momentum that's shown in most of the songs. Yeah. It does slow a bit with stuff like Games and Call Me Back.
Yeah, but I think that's a nice and interesting slow, because this is the part of the Strokes' career where they introduce writing more pretty and slow songs. Really. Yeah, and I know Ask Me Anything and Under Control do it on previous albums, but that's not much.
Absolutely.
It's not much.
Then, unfortunately, in my opinion, we have Come Down Machine, which is a bit of a mess. Or rather, it's confused. It doesn't really know what it wants to be.
I would rather listen to Come Down Machine than First Impressions of Earth.
Only because it's shorter.
Well, yeah.
Because you're impatient and you can't be bothered.
No, but the first 5 songs on Come Down Machine, again, in my opinion, it's a great run. And I also really enjoy the last 3. I don't think any of it's awful. I don't find any of it unlistenable. But it's just very so average. Confused. In the middle, it gets quite average. But the music is never bad. Again.
No, I completely agree. That is what makes the album palatable, as you would say.
Yeah, but I mean, you're putting it worse than it is. I mean, I think we should rate how what we would rate these albums out of 10 before we moved on to the next one, just so you as a listener knows where we're coming from. But go on, say what you want to say. Go on.
I think I completely agree that the music and the layering and the styles they're going for on Come Down Machine, though they're confused, are well executed. The only person who drops the ball, like in First Impressions, is Julian, but this is more of a case in this one. He tries to sort of lean into a lot of the sort of weird falsetto kind of high-pitched, almost childish-sounding singing, which is meant to sound very poppy and does sometimes work out, like in Tap Out, for example.
And one-way trigger. It's really cool. It's mental.
Yeah, true.
It's fun.
But I think he's better when he's back in his sort of typical Julianness, like in Welcome to Japan.
I think your point is that he actually doesn't sound that apathetic when he's doing it.
Well, I think the thing about some of Angles and most of Come Down Machine that made a lot of people sort of react badly to it is that essentially, I mean, maybe something to do with being a 5-piece band, all with different ideas, is they don't really have much of an opportunity to sort of experiment properly, I think. They don't get the opportunity to sort of explore all their ideas, and that results in them basically just churning out whatever they think of. Especially for Come Down Machine. I think
that's quite a big statement to make. I don't think you can back that up.
Well, no, I think you can, because at the time, especially around Come Down Machine, all the bands were sort of not that interested in it. They didn't do much press for it. They were constantly talking about breaking up and how they weren't that interested in like doing tours and publicizing it. Yeah. So I think it was well documented to be a turbulent time for them. I know it may be a bit of a stretch.
Which is why they don't like playing Angles and Come Down Machine live, I believe.
Maybe.
I didn't know the fan base didn't like Angles. I thought the fan base did like Angles, by the way.
I think the fan base liked Angles, but the music critics didn't, which I find odd because I think it's a musically more competent album than most of the ones before.
I think it's well, I tell you what,
it's really confusing. I don't know.
I tell you what, I think I'm gonna quickly do like a Strokes ranking.
Yeah, go on. I'll tell you where you're wrong.
Okay, well, Is This It's the Best? It's 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Angles is second. It's an 8.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Room on Fire is third. It's like a high 7, low 8. It probably is an 8.
I think it's still that low 8.
Yeah, it just doesn't have. It's just not as.
It only gets eclipsed by its predecessor.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as musically colourful as Angles. So I mean, Angles has just got so much colour to it.
Oh, absolutely. Just look at that. Look at the cover art.
It's mental. It looks like the shark sandwich cover from Spinal Tap. Also, I think
What's next?
What next?
First Impressions.
No, see, I'd go No, I don't know. Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
They're both 6s, by the way. Come Down Machine and First Impressions. They are good. They are good albums.
I think First Impressions is closer to a 7 to me, even though it's bloated. It's really tricky. It's always hard to review albums that have so much sort of quantity of stuff. If they could just trim the fat, it would be so much easier. Yeah,
exactly, and that's the problem with them. It is literally it, because they've both got about 6 great songs on them. There's a lot, and so if you had the best stuff from both albums, you'd have a classic album. I'm glad that they both exist. Like, there's no Strokes album I wish didn't exist or I'm angry about. Really, definitely the only Strokes album I've never had a really big phase of loving is First Impressions of Earth. But
that's because of your impatience.
No, but it's also because
you cannot be asked to go through it all.
No, but it's also because
you're less receptive to hard rock
sort
of styles, I'd say. So when listening to Vision of Division, for me, is like listening to sort of like a reimagined Led Zeppelin thing. Whereas for you, it's like, well, I imagine, what the fuck is this? What's the point?
Well, I don't know. It just sounds like they're being overly bombastic for no purpose.
But that's so Strokes. But it's so Julian.
I really don't like it. It's not good bombast. It's just lazy.
Lazy.
It's tuneless. Like, I've listened to Electricity Escape loads of times. I can't even remember how it sounds. I really can't.
I agree that those sort of middling ones. Although on the other side is really cool. It just goes on for way too long.
Yeah, it's very Smithsy.
No idea why they do that.
Yeah, it's also not that interesting. I like On the Other Side, but like On the Other Side, it's just very nursery rhyme.
Well, but again, I guess so. I don't know. I feel like that's him trying to experiment with his voice, and typically when Julian tries to change what his voice does, it doesn't always go that well, which is what Calm Down Machine does a bit. Because he does shift the way he sings quite a bit, you will agree.
Yeah, but when it works really well.
Sure, but it's very weird. And also, having something like Call It Fate, Call It Karma, which is a great song.
Yeah, it's excellent.
If a little unfinished feeling, doesn't belong at the end of that.
I like how it feels
anywhere else
it's
but
very,
there.
It's very White Album. The way it feels unfinished. It feels such a beautiful sketch. It's lovely.
But that would make so much more sense if the rest of the album didn't have the sort of admittedly false impression that it was sort of a tight stylistic album. That's kind of the problem. The rest of it is all in a similar kind of vein.
You like First Impressions more than me, and I like Come Down Machine more than you.
Yeah, but we both agreed that they're the two weaker ones.
Yeah, and they're both a 6, and I like them both, and I'm glad that they exist. But they're not the one I go to. I feel like they're just half of it's great, and half of it's rubbish. Yeah,
I don't imagine that's a popular opinion as well. If I'm honest,
what you don't think?
I think I don't know. It's difficult to tell with the echo chamber that we're in, but I feel like most people would agree that those two are sort of the ones that don't quite live up to standards. Because Angles, I feel like I hear songs off Angles more often from other people, especially Machu Picchu and Undercover of Darkness, and to some extent Gratisfaction.
Yeah.
Those ones I hear, mostly because, I mean, not so much Machu Picchu, but the other two are more like early Stroke stuff. So other people, they need that to sort of help get them through whatever the band are trying to do.
Yeah, but I also think all the experimentation they do on Angles really works.
No, it does, but But what I mean is, for people who just want a fun poppy rock hit, aren't going to find Angles that enjoyable to go through without having to sort of. Because even the first time I listened to it, I struggled a bit with Two Kinds of Happiness, Games. Metabolism was a bit mental. That sounds like it should be your first impression.
Yeah, I think that and Two Kinds of Happiness are the ones you could take off.
Well, I wouldn't. The thing is, Two Kinds of Happiness I would take off.
I don't take Two Kinds of Happiness off because the chorus is so similar to Angles. Opposites on Angles to the song before it, to Undercover of Darkness.
Yeah, it does.
Without that, I think the verses are great. Like the drumming. And the layering there, and his impression of Lou Reed in verse 2 is just incredible. Like I love it.
Whenever he drops into that.
Yeah, I love it. But like,
well, that's always a standout. That's something that you can always rely on. Is his vocals being great?
Yeah,
it's such an essential part of what they sound like.
The thing that makes them it's the thing that makes them a pop group, really, as well as being like a really interesting artistic rock endeavor, is his voice. Because it is literally, it's very similar to Oasis in that sense, is that it's all about Liam in Oasis, and in this it's all about Julia.
Well, it's more that it's focused on the personality of the person singing.
And everything works around that. It works that way.
Yeah, there's no attempt at empathy with the audience. There's no attempt at being relatable. It's just someone essentially complaining like they're in a room on their own, whinging about, anything.
Yeah, it's what I found very Morrissey about him when I first listened to him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's so sort of melodramatic in his own head.
He's great.
It's weird that I don't really think very much about how sort of closely knit they are to the Smiths and sort of early indie music.
Yeah,
because obviously they're carrying not just the mantle of the Britpop and the punk before them, they're also carrying indie into it.
Yeah, they're carrying
they didn't really cross paths that much.
And then they're mixing it with the kind of street sound of and the simple chord work, which was great, and the swag of stuff like the Velvet Underground and Lou Reed, which is which for a lot of people is like the big deal about the Strokes, is how they kind of bring back the whole Velvet Underground style.
Yeah, it's the classic American rock style.
Yeah, it's New York,
that
isn't it?
Loves so much. Yeah, exactly. But obviously, it took off so well in England by starting off a ridiculous number of groups. But
yeah, so basically, the Strokes are important because they kickstarted a rock movement called post-punk revival, where bands that came out of that are bands like the Libertines, the Arctic Monkeys, Franz Ferdinand, Vampire Weekend, Kaiser Chiefs, all that kind of thing. So
it doesn't stop.
Yeah, the list is the possibilities.
Even the Killers to some extent.
Yeah, no, the Killers and Interpol. Yeah,
a little bit. Interpol's a little bit is more the same sort of time as the Strokes, though, in a way.
Yeah. Well, no, it's, Turn on the Bright Lights is a great New York album.
Yeah, So I think that's important because really, I think, at least in the mind of the mad Julian, this new sort of phase of their career is essentially him trying to retake that mantle back, because there's been a bit of a vacuum of what people would typically call normal rock music in the 2010s.
Yeah, so basically,
hasn't really continued the genre.
Since, like, obviously, I would say the 2010s will always now, when we look back, be characterized by, in terms of good music, hip hop. It was hip hop.
Exactly.
Hip hop's decade. I think the best artist of
yeah.
last decade was Kanye. He's
He
definitely
was certainly probably the most influential.
Yeah, exactly, and the most important. And you know what? It's been a very pop dominated decade. I don't think we need to talk about Ed Sheeran or anything like that.
I'd rather not, to be honest.
But it's because I'm talking about music that I respect. So I don't need to talk about that.
All right. So let's move on from that. No.
Anyway, point is, yeah, there's not that much normal, what you call normal rock at all. That I think is great.
Yeah. I think before. Yeah.
A lot of it is bands carrying on from before. You have people like Two Door Cinema Club, though, change the sound of indie. So they take the kind of post-punk revival guitar and kind of bring it together with the kind of bigger what I would call Coldplay, Milo's Lotto, Brian Eno production. And
it's a lot more safer way for them to try and bring rock into the new decade.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got slightly more sort of risque attempts by the Arctic Monkeys, for example.
What were they?
Trying to make a sort of I actually kind of mean with Tranquility Base by trying to sort of mix sort of like classy elements and sort of older music rather than
basically indie. The kind of stripped back version of indie marries with art rock, which was the other thing that was going alongside it in the 2000s with Radiohead. And
absolutely,
to some extent, people like Coldplay and the kind of soft rock bands as well. And then Vampire Weekend are one of the first people to really marry that up. So
that's interesting you say that, because I think before we start talking about the songs on the new album, is something that I think we should talk about some things sort of generally about the album that stand out. And one of the things for me
of the new Abnormal,
of the new Abnormal,
Sorry. Go on.
Is no, that's fine. Is that there's a lot of an alt rock feel in it that I can hear. There's a lot of sort of almost Radiohead-esque elements, especially stuff like In Rainbows.
Right.
That I can hear in some of the songs.
Yeah, what with the kind of really beautiful arpeggiated guitars and this
exactly.
This is weirdly
a
really nice, croony, nice album.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. There's very little in the way of fast-paced, energetic, powerful songs, which in some ways is a nice thing, but I think in some ways can actually limit the album a bit. But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Would you reckon? Should we actually start talking about it?
Yes, start talking about it. Can I give a hot take on it?
You absolutely can.
A serious hot take.
Okay. I haven't heard this yet, so I'm kind of worried now.
Okay, I'm really glad this exists.
Oh, that's not really a hot take, is it?
No, well, my hot take is that it's better than First Impressions of Earth and Come Down Machine.
Okay, well, straight off the bat, you're correct.
Thank you, because as an entire the weird thing is, Albert, forget about the the songs individually. As a whole, this is a very listenable album. There's no song on it I want to skip.
Absolutely, it's concise with what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think that's so the style and the sort of ideas they go for. I was saying that with some of the albums, they don't know what ideas to say no to, and I think the big sort of hiatus they've had and Julian working on stuff like The Voids, I think that's given him the opportunity that he never had to actually experiment with the ideas they were going for.
I mean, The Voids is absolutely mental.
Yeah, but that means he can find that happy medium that works with the band's style, and that means that this makes this a much more well realised album.
He's had a palette. He's found had a palette cleanse.
Work.
It's a bit like how The Last of the Shadow Puppets really lets Alex Turner vent off his suck it and see-ness.
Yes,
really,
absolutely.
his kind of great bullshit lyrics.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's the same.
Because Julian feels much more in the way he sings to me like he's got his character back.
He is superb on this album.
He is swaggerlicious.
He is absolutely back and smacking it.
Yeah,
he
no,
did, and I'll tell you
that
what,
is the biggest relief for me.
oh my goodness, he really doesn't drop the ball. I think there's only one point I've written down of the album. There's only one bit of the album as a section I don't enjoy. There's only one bit I don't enjoy, and that's that. And that.
Shall we get to that later?
Yeah, we'll get to it later. But that's a huge.
Because I actually don't know what you're talking about because I didn't notice anything.
There's literally one thing where I thought. There's one thing where I thought this is lazy.
Oh no.
But other than that, no. But that's one bit. So other than that, this is not a lazy album at all. It sounds like they're trying. No. Everyone's going for it. I'll tell you what, a lot's changed, especially in the drum style.
And also, and I think every member, and the drumming, for sure. They're all
really
rolling
different
with the punches.
Yeah.
Which I think was probably harder for them to do before because they've had such a big break. They can actually now sort of approach everything with fresh ears.
But there's still moments to seriously embrace the classic Strokes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I tell you what, this feels like them kind of doing a lot of stuff that Come Down Machine was doing, but better.
Yeah, especially the 80s vibe, which is something that a lot of people have been talking about nowadays, which is that sort of the 20s, or the new 20s, I should say, seem like artistically musicians are bringing a lot of 80s themes into it. And I think the Strokes, potentially very cleverly, are also doing that.
Oh,
but in a rock context.
They are definitely...
They're taking so many 80s themes, which were attempted in Come Down Machine, but quite well. You know, not badly done by any stretch of the imagination, but sort of...
done well on all the places we highlighted. It was done well. It was done well on half the album.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not a full album.
So there's so much more sort of synth and sort of very heavy sort of, I'd say, I don't know how to phrase it, luscious beats, but very electronic sounds.
And this does the combination of indie, like absolute indie, with the art rock that I was talking about. This is their most Two Door Cinema Club sounding effort. There's a lot of Two Door Cinema Club sounding stuff here. And there's a song which even sounds like a Two Door Cinema Club song, which I will talk about later.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, overall, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's a very confusing record. It's not easy to... It's not actually easy. It's not an easy record.
I think especially if you hadn't listened... No, if you hadn't listened to At the Door when they released it, which is the first single.
Yeah, I think I was helped a lot by I got a lot like the two breathing spaces because I'd heard those songs before.
Yeah, they absolutely picked the two best songs to do the big press releases.
Yeah,
for.
It's hard to tell at the moment if they're the two best songs on the album because at the moment my feeling is that they are, but I know them better. So
I think that's less important. What's more important is that they both represent the two. Probably, I think, the two widest ends of the scale for the album of the most familiar and the least familiar.
I 100%
in terms of their style.
Agree with you.
Yeah. Which means if you can sit through both of those and like it, then you will be able to listen to this album and definitely appreciate it.
I will say that before this album came out, I haven't been as excited for an album for a long time.
No, well, it was probably Tranquility Base.
Yeah, Tranquility Base was the last time I was. But I say what I
would say
as
Egypt Station by
Paul
McCartney, but
yeah, maybe,
everyone knew that was going to be weird.
Yeah, I think maybe Always Ascending, but I haven't.
Well, that was before Tranquility Base.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I got excited about Tranquility
super
Base
pumped for that
when it came out, but before I wasn't
because of how much at the time we didn't respect AM.
Because I didn't expect AM, and I wasn't sure about 4 out of 5.
No,
so I wasn't.
I mean, I'm kind of still not in a way.
Yeah, but I mean, At the Door, it's got one of the best Strokes videos. It's also
also very 80s.
I'll come out and say I think At the Door is an absolute classic. It's an absolute classic. It's perfect at what it's doing. It doesn't fall short at any point. It's cinematic. It's gorgeous. The use of synths is luscious. And I tell you what, you wouldn't think it being the Strokes that you'd accept that because it's so different to what they do. But you accept it because it all works in service of Julian's voice. And for me, at this point, I know I don't know the album that well, so this isn't fair. At this point, my favourite bit of the album is still when he goes, "You use me like an oar to get yourself to shore."
Oh yeah,
it's still
it's great.
It's still awesome, and it talks about the childhood themes, which also come up. I think we need to start going through it track by track now.
Yeah. So tell you what, right? The Adults Are Talking, the opening track. This, I think, shows the best example of what I was saying earlier about this sort of alt rock influence, because the singing, especially, and to some extent the guitar and keyboard, are reminiscent of even something like a Billie Eilish record. But also Tom York, I can hear elements of his voice in it.
Yeah.
Sort of the really soft, very vulnerable sounding, which is not something that Julian does very much.
He doesn't do vulnerable.
And it comes across extremely well. I think.
Yeah, he actually,
because it
he
sounds
actually
very
does a lot
ethereal.
of vulnerable on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a fairly big move to take, but it's much better than just going for sort of poppy way over the top, which is kind of his usual thing he does when he doesn't know what to do. This works a lot better because tonally everything's consistent. The song sounds ethereal and it's like got luscious production.
It's got a very U2 sound I've written down.
Okay.
Because the solo where they're trading off each other.
Yeah,
all the guitar stuff. And it sounds really jangly. It sounds so like 80s U2. Like early U2.
More 80s, yeah.
Yeah, it's and also, but you've got a lot of cases on this album where there's like really disguised at the back of the mix, kind of choir sounds or what might be backing vocals, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I do feel like they tore their rule book up halfway with this album. It's the guitars are really trying something new. I can't imagine going on YouTube and learning these songs. I can't imagine doing it.
Yeah,
because they seem really like they just sound difficult. They just sound so difficult.
They still at points, especially in I'd say this one and a couple of, like Bad Decisions, a couple of others, they still feel like the centerpiece of the music.
Yeah,
which has always been the case for them beforehand. It's been characterized by both their guitars playing off each other. Yeah. And even though some of the songs don't really incorporate that, they do that really well in The Adults Are Talking. And also, I'm so glad about this because when I heard the live version, it sounded very kind of, I don't know the word, it sounded too spaced out. And like all the layers of surprisingly complicated of the rhythms between the guitars and the bass and the drums.
I think the bass
in the studio recording
is really good on this album.
Yeah, it sounds so much more concise in the studio version. So I was kind of worried that The Adults Are Talking wouldn't live up to what people were saying.
I will make an absolute hot take and say this is in their bottom 2 album starters.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
No, but I mean, I'm putting that with Whatever Happened, by the way. I think this is about as good as Whatever Happened. I think they're both. By the way, I don't think they have a bad album opener.
I was going to say
I know you don't like Tap Out that much, but I would put Tap Out a bit higher. Their best album openers is a sit Machu Picchu and You Only Live Once, which I mean
hang on. No, Tap Out. No.
Tap Out's cooler than this.
I don't know. I think
this is definitely more maybe. Yeah, this is definitely more interesting.
There's so much more sort of emotion in this one.
Do you want a criticism?
Well, yeah, sure.
So the guitar in the chorus, I think I said this to you when we heard the live version, sounds almost exactly like The End Has No End.
Oh, really?
One by one, and keeping you dumb. Well, it's the other way around, baby. What's that sound? I said a one by one. Hey, and you've become. But I tell you what, I don't mind because it sounds so lovely. Lovely. And also, the lyrics are brilliant, where he's like, you think of him when you think of me. Oh, that's great. But it's so much like It Does No End, which is why I would argue it depends on if you can forgive it or not. I can, because all of the music in this is so beautiful.
That's a rare criticism.
Yeah, and in the context, I really enjoy it. So I don't mind. I really don't mind. But
for an album like this, that's pretty rare to be throwing unoriginality. At them is the problem.
Well,
I think that's not. I don't think that's anywhere near the problem. And because I mean, there are other songs in this where there are parts that sort of sound a bit like stuff they've done before, but I don't think it's in like the melody line isn't identical. I think it just has a similar feel to it.
The lyrics in this are brilliant, by the way.
Yeah,
I love how he says stop. You know when he says stop breakers at the end of it, it's like what?
Yeah.
The lyrics on the whole album seem to be very thoughtful. It's continuing kind of I Am Wise Julian from Angles, basically. Adult Julian.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I think the theme of the album is obviously a lot to do with childhood and adulthood and comparing the two. So obviously starting the album with The Adults Are Talking. So it's from a child's point of view listening to the adults. It's clever.
Or it could just be a way of Julian showing that lyrically and vocally he's attempting maturity more than he has done before.
Yeah, true, to be fair. But I was just going to say, because at the door in the music video, you've got like kind of a kid Julian, and you've got like the that's what they do right in front of you. I feel like At the Door is from a child, is maybe from a child's point of view, or some of it is.
I think it's more just a retrospective look at those sort of experiences, because he's still acting very mature in it. Like you say, stuff like, mind you, yeah, he's talking about I'm an early boy holding up the night.
Exactly, yeah.
It's really tricky.
And then
But
when
he's saying stuff like, like the whole use me like an oar and get yourself to shore.
Yeah.
Is a much more grown-up approach.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's what he's going for.
I mean, there's nothing to say he can't be singing it from both perspectives or combining them.
No.
You also have...
I bet he didn't even think about it like that.
Well, you don't know. So
he went, oh yeah, it's just a cool lyric, man, about stuff.
You can't claim that, because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it.
You've heard him talk about his songs.
Okay, so the podcast is over, everyone. We found that everyone just kind of does it for why not. So, yeah.
But he does.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, no, but I'm saying it's not intentional. It doesn't mean there's no subconscious sort of
yeah, of course,
reasons for anything.
I mean, so he does that, and then in the song "Not the Same Anymore," he brings back the door image, and he says, "You'd be a better window than a door," which is one of my favourite moments of the whole album.
I have that on my notes.
Yes, it's excellent.
I love that.
And then also talking about in Ode to the Mets, he talks about growing old, and he says, "Back from his trip, he's at the door."
Yeah.
Okay. And we were talking about how songs like Undercover of Darkness reflect possibly his feelings of being away from home, being a rock star. And obviously Julian's got young kids now.
Yeah, and comparing it to Go Away to War, for example.
Yeah, exactly, in Undercover of Darkness. So
being in the army.
Yeah, and
I mean, that's
all the tough sides of being a rock star and stuff.
And that's a very sort of a big trope used, and especially a lot of early rock and progressive rock builds on that as well.
On what, sorry?
The whole idea. Oh, the idea of talking about sort of being a rock star and having that as having to go away and be on like almost a fantastical journey, essentially.
Oh yeah, of course. And some people make it out as a great thing, and some people make it out as a bad thing. I mean, look at Pink Floyd. They sing about being a rock star destroying you.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's interesting we bring that up, because there are bits on the album that felt very Pink Floyd and progressive rock, especially with the talking. Sort of before, in the middle, and after occasional songs.
Fair.
You sort of hear the middle bits of conversations going on.
I had that down as Let It Be.
No, I almost thought that, but then I thought, because if it was Let It Be, it would have been like the end of the song and how they finished talking about it. But when you listen to these, it sounds like
like
specific cuts of conversation they've taken and placed in there purposefully.
Yeah, from like different jamming and from the studio.
Yeah,
there's a bit where he's talking to the drummer and he says, "Oh, that's Fab" or something. He's talking about, because they say Fab, but that's what they call their drummer, Fabrizio.
Yeah. So I get a lot more sort of progressive rock feelings from that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
There's also a moment on this record where he sounds exactly like Roger Waters.
Is there? I don't think I picked that up.
And it's one of his so do I have anything else to say about the adults talking? I obviously, as you know, I got really angry when I heard there was a fade out. But
and then it does, yeah.
But I was happy because it was like, oh no, there's a reason for it. Fine, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was
probably expecting you to flip out.
I hate fade outs.
He thinks they're a cop out.
Yeah, finish the song. Finish the song.
I think
I get Dancing Queen can get away with it. Because, if the
Dancing Queen have a fade out?
I think so. I mean, if the fade out suggests that this is an eternal thing going on forever, fine. But
disco music has it a lot.
I might get over that, but I don't like disco music enough to
and
really
blues
be
has
invested.
it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's
blues has it. Jazz is okay with it because it's all meant to be improvised stuff.
Yeah, it's like you're just listening to a section of it. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
But
imagine if they faded out.
Here.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Imagine if Reptilia faded out. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, don't. That's not funny.
Exactly.
It's stupid. I think we should move on to Selfless.
Right, I loved this. I think his vocals, especially when they come back in about 2 minutes or whatever, are one of the highlights of the album. Absolutely gorgeous. Makes me feel really emotional. Absolutely beautiful.
And what's interesting about that is that I think, on the whole, it had a much more softer and come down machine-esque feeling.
Yeah.
But it did it a lot better to my ears.
What do you think? See, he does do a lot of mental falsetto on this album. He also does it on Adults Are Talking. But I think it works really well because it's sparser.
It does.
And when he does it, it's really cool. It's like kind of just mental. You know what I mean? And it's used to convey that. Yeah,
exactly. I also, in this, the thing that stuck out to me the most, especially in the intro, and I think it's in the choruses or maybe like just afterwards, is the guitar style made me properly think of Humbug and Suck It and See.
Oh, okay.
There are some real kind of indie pop elements of it, but kind of, yeah, I mean, what do we call it? Indie pop? I suppose I will. I was going to say emo. That's probably not what it is.
No, that's not emo.
But yeah, that kind of very effect-heavy guitar style, which they don't actually do when you think about it.
Selfless is one of their nicest songs.
Yeah, it's very soft, and
I love
feels very comforting.
I love the solos and stuff in this. The solos on this album are really unusual.
Yes,
they're very much more instrumentals in a way.
Yeah, I think they're trying to ditch the classic solo thing.
The Strokes solo. Yeah,
because I mean, there's so many tropes that they kind of repeat.
Yeah,
in especially their solos, for example.
Yeah,
that they kind of they need to move everything on, and again, having a massive hiatus has probably helped that.
They ditched that with the guitars, and they don't entirely ditch this with the drumming. But they do. No. They don't have as much bopping off the bass drum and the snare as you would expect, because that is his thing. But they don't do it. But you go on.
No, I was to say, but the drum beats throughout the whole album are a lot more sort of thick, I'd say.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Generally, this album is a lot more, I think, rhythm based than usual.
It's a lot less jumpy,
or at least beat based.
It's a lot less jumpy. You get what I was saying about the drums is you get the most amount of like kind of what I would call Ringo Starr 4/4 on this than they have ever done. So they use it on Bad Decisions, Ode to the Mets, and Why Are Sundays So Depressing?
Yeah,
there's on all of them.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's Sundays So Depressing.
And it's used really well on every time. But it's just the kind of beat you just don't ever expect this drummer to do.
Yeah, I can't say I've actually paid much attention to the drumming of the Strokes that much, because it's usually one of the. It's usually so manic, and to hear it like this.
Yeah, because it's not manic, is it? I know it's very restrained.
Very considered.
On the adults are talking.
Restrained.
It's the beat does change, but only slightly. Like you have to really pay attention to hear when it's used differently, and it's fantastic. I mean, drumming's still great. I do think
I think the way the drums are used is what matters in this. Is it's a lot less, like you say, skippy and more. It's much more punch to it.
Yeah,
which I think is more like the 80s.
I don't know if that's more punch to it. I definitely think the snare is louder on this. There's a lot more of a whack to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I think generally they're trying to up it because they're leaning less into the guitars providing the punch and more the beat and the rhythm, the groove, and the stuff like the synths.
It's just the vibe. I would change what you're saying, and I'd say it's more about the vibe. This album is just very vibey.
Vibey?
Yeah, rather than it's not that riffy. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's that riffy.
No, well, maybe not guitar riffs, but there are a fair few.
Yeah. Also, the keyboard.
Well, I mean, especially the Outta talking.
The keyboard in the album's really great, and it's really welcome. Yeah. It's a really nice welcome change.
But that's what I mean. They're using the beats more important than the guitar.
Yeah.
Which I would say, marginally speaking, like in early records of theirs, the guitar takes precedent.
Yeah.
Sonically.
Yeah. Well, they're a guitar band.
That's all I meant.
But the reason I think this is more alt rock, this album, is because it doesn't feel like a purely guitar album, because it isn't.
No, not at all.
And the keyboard isn't a one-off. It's like it's there to stay. Like it's there for most of the album.
So I think that brings us very well into Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus.
It's mental.
Which was, for sure for both of us, the most full-on shock, when we first listened to it.
Which is weird, because At the Door should have been.
Well, it was for a bit, and obviously I'd still settled on it, and especially after hearing Bad Decisions, I thought I understood what they were going for.
Yeah.
But just the intro of Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus is so... It really pierces your ears. Like, it's so unapologetically 80s. It's ridiculous.
It's very Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah.
When I look back
weirdly,
upon my life.
But he has a lot more of his post-punk revival sort of singing.
Yeah, this is the first song to do serious New York style to it.
Yeah.
Be like in the chorus, he really does sound like Green Day. I want new friends.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's really I don't know what to think of that.
Do you like it?
I'm not really a big fan of pop punk.
Well, the thing is, it's
really not for me.
You know how you...
But it is juvenile.
Yeah, it's very juvenile, which is cool for it to come back. But you know how you...
And it's probably what he liked when he was younger.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that influence hasn't come up before, if it's suddenly turning up now. Or maybe it's just incidental.
You know how you didn't like Taken for a Fool for a while? You didn't like the chorus? The Monday,
Yeah,
Tuesday is my weekend.
I just sounded like something that the bloody... I'm just sounding of a really boring pop group. I can't think of any.
Well,
to push them out
I really like that, but I think it's a bit like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I want
it is.
New friends, but they don't want me.
But again, the lyrics are really good. They're just it's kind of confusing the way they're sung.
But like I see it as I'm just really glad that the album's varied enough to include something like that as well. Like
I guess so,
if it's not for me, then I'm still properly impressed by just how varied and out there the whole record is. That's there.
Yeah, and it's still got a great groove to it. It's just I found a little bit of inconsistency between the vocals and the tone of the song, a little bit like I did with Calm Down Machine.
Yeah,
but not enough that it bothers me. I still think it's a really good song.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as I like Selfless or Bad Decisions around it.
No.
By the way, Selfless feels like, I know it's the shortest track on the album by only like 20 seconds ish. 14 seconds. But it's weird because to me, Selfless feels like the equivalent of like a random 2-minute track on an album full of really long songs. To me, Selfless feels like it's just a really weird side note.
Like a transition.
I don't know why, but it really makes me think of "Hold On" from Plastic Ono Band, and probably because it's track 2 and because it's nice.
Yeah, and he's acting kind of odd in it.
Yeah, and it's rare to get
like
nice second tracks on loud albums.
Not
that Plastic Ono is a loud album. It's not.
I mean, it is bonkers though.
Yeah, it's really kooky, and this is, by the way, this is definitely the kookiest and weirdest Strokes album ever.
I mean, that seems to be a thing with all of these sort of early 2000s bands, what they're doing. Like, because it happened with Always Ascending. Well, Alex Kapranos suddenly started being all weird.
Well,
I mean, he Sparks.
Yeah, but I think he started being that weird on Right Thoughts, Right Words.
Sure. And obviously Alex Turner started doing it with the Last of the Shadow Puppets.
Yeah,
exactly. Going full kooky.
Yeah, and then he brought it in on Tranquility Base properly.
Yeah. So I think that's just it may be just an aging thing for artists, and that this always happens because if you've represented a generation that's now fully grown up and not in a way meant to be your target audience, it's weird how you have to try and shift your tone essentially, or not. It's kind of weird. Do you think this album is aimed at sort of reminiscing Strokes fans, or do you think it's aimed at the current sort of pop music generation?
I just don't know. I don't think it matters to them. Not at this point. I feel like when you get to a point where you're that big, it doesn't matter.
I think that they're making a lot of claims that they want to, be the sort of heads of rock music again. And
but I feel like if that was true, it's weird because I don't think rock music is a dominant genre enough anymore that I don't think everyone cares about.
But that's their point. That's their point.
Yeah, to be honest, with but this stuff's too weird for that to happen.
Do you think?
Definitely, because it's not built around choruses.
That's why
in fact, the verses on a lot of this are stronger than the choruses.
I guess, but they are doing the thing that everyone is noticing that like a lot of other genres are doing, which is moving towards the 80s style. Yeah. So I feel like they are moving with the tide essentially, and trying to keep in that. It just seems a bit confusing what they're actually trying to do. Whether they're trying to go, I don't care, let's be having you, or whether they're saying, make us relevant again. I don't know.
I don't think they.
I'm not. Again, they're not. It's not like they're selling out or anything. I'm not.
But I really don't think that the Strokes ever felt irrelevant. That's the difference.
They must have done.
No, I don't think it's like...
They must have done it Calm Down Machine.
No, I don't think Calm Down Machine was irrelevant at that time. Because it was
barely publicised.
Yeah, because they didn't want it to be publicised. But a lot of music... It wasn't hugely successful. Yeah, sure.
Who sings 50-50 nowadays? You never hear it.
Yeah, but 50-50 is not the big track from that album. Like, people love Welcome to Japan and One Way Trigger because they didn't pay for it to happen. You have to pay for these things.
Now look, I think they're good. I think they're just as good as you do. I'm just saying that they that as an album.
But in 2013,
as artists, they were not that relevant.
But listen, like who was listening to that genre in 2013? Not most people.
People who are listening to AM.
Yeah, but AM is nothing like Calm Down Machine.
No, but it comes from the same place, and it brought along that same audience, and those people.
See, I don't think it does. I think the AM isn't doing 80s. I think it's doing boring 2010s dance music, and by dance music I mean just music to be on MDM80.
What I mean is, I don't think the Strokes brought many listeners with them on Come Down Machine. I don't think they amassed much of an audience.
No,
people who already liked them.
Yeah, exactly.
Went with them on it because they liked them.
It's basically a cult record, but I feel like a lot of this genre is becoming more cult. So
and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this album. It's impossible to tell right now. But I wonder whether this is only going to be accepted really by proper Strokes fans.
I do wonder.
So I haven't really heard many outside opinions about it.
So they have really promoted this album a lot, to the extent that my dad stayed up to listen to it with me yesterday. Because it's been all over
the Bernie Sanders rally.
Yeah, but it's been all over the papers.
Classic
They've actually done a tour.
Yeah,
but it has been like in all the papers and everywhere. Like, it's a big deal. A lot of
they
people
got proper music videos, which they haven't done. What was the last proper music video they did? Oh, it was Threat of Joy.
Threat of Joy, which is still my favourite one.
Which is an excellent music video.
Yeah, superb. It's one of their best songs.
It's a shame that again, a lot of people don't seem to know that song very well.
Yeah, because it's just
they don't seem to respect
that
it.
They didn't really.
No idea why.
I don't know.
That in a way would almost fit in on this album.
Yeah. Threat of Joy is a really good indicator of where they're going. That in fact,
what we're doing now.
That whole EP is a really good indicator of where they're going to go.
Yeah, Oblivious.
Yeah, Oblivious would fit in really well.
What's going on now, especially with Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus.
Yeah, definitely.
They're both equally sort of bananas, bonkers, ridiculous, stupid. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to Bad Decisions then, because
classic riff.
I mean, this is basically the song that was like, okay, calm down. It's okay. We're still the Strokes.
I do think
that is definitely the function of the song,
and I do think that track 3 and 4 do that anyway.
I mean, this is track 4.
Yeah. Brooklyn Bridge does it to a lesser extent, but it does still do it.
Not as much. I mean, it
does still do it.
It has a lot of existing tropes, but not necessarily Strokes ones.
This is the most original Strokes sounding song on the album.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the most. If you kind of exempt Threat of Joy, this is the most sort of analog, raw sounding Strokes song that we've had since Room on Fire.
Do you mean?
I think.
Do you mean Room on Fire? Or do you mean First Impressions of Earth?
Okay, fine. First Impressions. I only don't say First Impressions because not many songs on that are like early Strokes. But yeah, something like You Only Live Once. Yeah, all right, fine. Yeah. But still, since 2006.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with you, because I would say that Welcome to Japan and Undercover Darkness sound like
that. No, definitely not Welcome to Japan.
Really?
That sounds nothing like sort of early Strokes stuff.
Fine, but Undercover Darkness does.
Undercover Darkness, to some extent.
Point is, we're splitting hairs. Apart from Threat of Joy and Undercover Darkness, I agree.
Yeah, my point is, that's what this song is trying to do.
Yeah, maybe.
It's back to the. Do you not think? I think this sounds so Room on Fire.
I think, by the way, it's one of their...
The way the bass blends with the drums, the guitar riff, basically all the normal assumed roles of the band members are returned to in this song.
Fair play.
It's great.
Fair play. Yeah, no, it is great. And the riff sounds really Smithsy, because the use of chorus.
So Smithsy.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice. And it's
brilliant.
The Moscow 1972 is just awesome.
Another line you like way too much.
Oh, I love it. His vocals
if you were able to explain why you like it and not just the way he sings it.
Okay, so apart from why I actually like the lyric.
Yeah, I mean, do you actually?
Yeah,
like the lyric?
so he says Moscow.
So
it's so cool.
A cow made of moss.
No, because that's how Americans say Moscow, isn't it? They're like Moscow.
Oh, I see.
I love the fact that that's
what
in the
happened
song.
in 1972.
1972. It's so
maybe
cool.
That's when. Oh, I don't know.
It has a proper summary, beautiful Strokes feel. Also, it references the Voids when he says, "I will leave it in my dreams," because "Leave It in My Dreams" is one of the best Void songs.
Is it?
It is.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Wow. Also, side note, amazing music video.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Again, maybe a stretch, but it's such a sort of great example of how they're basically trying to escape the sort of plastic, boring boy band tropes that people paint them as, or people have painted other people who have followed them as.
Yeah.
And basically showing how...
Well, and the idea that a lot of people have copied them as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And what the music video is them like losing their faces or being made up.
Well, it's just all the attempted copies of the Strokes just dying and twitching on the ground.
Yeah, and everybody's singing the same song for 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is. Wait, this isn't. Oh no, it's nearly 10 years since Angles.
It's
So
weird.
Can't make that joke again. It's a shame.
In context, Bad Decisions comes across as even more of an 8 out of 10 than it did when it came out. In the context of the album, it's a serious high point.
Well, I think if it weren't for the fact that the rest of the album varies widely, this song wouldn't be considered so good by us, at least.
Yeah, I think it's just
because we wouldn't notice it for what it does.
It's such a nice coming back to basics.
Yeah, its place in the album is very, very well executed.
I still think it's weird. I still think because structurally it's quite strange. There's like 3 sections. The outro is very strange.
Yeah, and I think it could be a bit shorter. And that is a thing that pops up a bit with this album. I like the fact that they've gone with sort of only a small amount of songs, but going a bit longer. But sometimes, in Bad Decisions, I feel like they could have cut out a verse and a chorus.
I'm not. It doesn't bother me. I like it.
It doesn't bother me, but I don't know. I feel like. But then, and they want to make sure the album's long enough that people feel it's worth it.
See, I don't think that's what they're doing. I just think it's more about the.
That's all musical artists do that.
I don't know because
you have to make sure your album isn't just 25 minutes long. People are like, what's the point in buying it? It's not worth the money.
But Kanye's last 2 things have only been 25 minutes.
Yeah, well, it's a fucking mental case. No one,
But when
everyone expects that from him.
But when I listen to them, I do feel fulfilled by the end. I've had enough stuff on there that is.
You're fed up of it.
No, because there's enough like fat on the bone. Like there's enough meat to it. Like it's great.
Yeah, fat. That's what you should call
it. So interestingly, while you're talking about the fact this references 80s stuff, they credit Billy Idol as a songwriter on this.
Really?
Because
were they actually? Is that just a joke?
No, it's true.
Oh wow!
Because of
that's brilliant.
Because he goes making bad decisions. I'm dancing with myself is the Billy Idol song. So it's similar. So they've credited that. Also, when I showed my dad Brooklyn Bridge Chorus, he reminded me. He said he sung along to it using another song, and he was like, "This is so much like that other song." But because he forgives it because they say, "All those 80s bands, where did they go?" Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so self-aware. They're definitely doing that. I mean, earlier when you were saying, "Oh, I think this might be a stretch," but it's not a stretch at all. They're definitely doing it on purpose.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why, but
because that's where the trend of music is going right now. I think
that probably, and also
it makes perfect sense.
It's what Julian's been doing on his solo stuff for ages.
I think unlike some other artists from there who are sort of growing old like them, if you like. They are making more of a sort of a concerted effort to stay in the game.
Yeah.
That's not a bad or a good thing necessarily. It's like, that's just they want to try and I suppose be big again. I don't really know. We can't really tell what they actually want to do or whether they care. But I feel like that's why they're doing it. But they're still being really experimental, like I said, and using a lot of, sort of styles that he's managed to amass from being in the Voids and doing solo stuff. And even Albert Hammond Jr. having gone away and done solo stuff.
Oh yeah, which is also quite
nice. They've been away.
Yeah.
I can't really see necessarily that influence in here because he doesn't do any singing, and he's back to his usual self.
He might do. Give me a sec.
Does he?
I'm gonna look.
We can have a look. I don't remember hearing
he's not,
any backing vocals.
See, there's loads of choir and like weird vocals at the back, but he's not credited for him, so it must be.
Are there actual choirs? It just sounds more to me. It just sounds like the keyboard.
Yeah. It'll be it'll be keyboard choir. They won't put an extra choir. Yeah. From looking at it, it is just Julian singing vocals. Also, by the way, talking about the 80s, the front cover artwork is by Jean-Michel Basquiat. I don't know how to say it, and it's called Bird on Money, and it's from 1980. It's from 1981.
You know what? That's awesome. It's a really cool bit of art. What I thought was interesting though is that doesn't shout an 80s to me. That shouts Radiohead EP cover to me.
Yeah.
Like, just, oh my god, this is horrendous, what's happening. It looks like there's like there's a gallows pole at the bottom in the middle, isn't there?
Oh, wow, yeah, I haven't seen that, like Hangman. Yeah.
And there's like an ocean, like some arrows. Oh, it's just, it's despicable.
You're right, it does look, or it looks like, when you're flicking through the pages to OK Computer in the CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like that.
If I pulled this out of the Hell to the Thief sleeve, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, you'd be like, fair enough.
You're like, right, okay, sure.
The colours of it really make me think of Angles. because the yellow and the blue.
Oh yeah, that's true,
which I doubt is on. It might be on purpose. But
no, but you're right. Actually, it is pretty much exactly the same color palette.
Yeah.
That is really bizarre.
But interesting because it's from the 80s. That's all I'm saying.
That is really interesting. They must be. This must be on purpose. I found the next song, "Eternal Summer," even more synthy.
So it does.
And interestingly, no, this Eternal. Are we allowed to talk about "Eternal Summer" now?
Yeah. Can I just say I love Bad Decisions? Let's move on.
Of course you can. Well, we both do. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is a
classic stroke. Yeah. It's so hard not to love. It's like listening to "Threat of Joy."
Yeah, it's so hard not to love it.
If you love the Strokes, you're gonna love it. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having that in your album.
No, not at all.
Unless you populated the whole thing with songs like that. That's when there would be a problem with it.
And then it would be like, oh, are they selling out? Are they not moving on?
Or it's just like, they can't be bothered to bring out. There's no point in bringing out the new music at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Eternal Summer. Interesting. You don't have to do this now.
Yeah.
And if anyone's interested, listen to Eternal Summer and then listen to Safety Dance by Men Without Hats, which is a random 80s song that I don't know why I know. I actually can't remember.
Oh, wow, that looks really weird.
But this, I Googled it.
Is it? Oh, no, the thing...
Safety Dance by Men Without Hats. If you listen to it, it's like so similar. I'm not saying it's the same melody or anything like that, but the feel of it, the tone of the synth, and like the singing, how it's done.
Albert, I think it's from 2010. Or at least on Spotify it says 2010.
It was reimagined for then, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. They've got old pictures. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 1982.
See, I was going to say...
the original was
1982. Anyway, I was going to say... the thing about this song is that I think it sounds loads like... At least the first section does, which I love. And I said at the time, oh, I love this. I remember just going, I love this. I said it out loud to myself. I was like, I love this.
You say everything to us.
It's so much like the song "Bad Decisions" by Two Door Cinema Club, which is mental. Like if you listen,
oh no,
anyone wants to listen to that? No,
it's too meta.
It's so much like it. Because earlier when you you would recognise it. It's on the radio a lot. I know you don't hear the radio, but it's on a lot of things.
It's rubbish.
But interestingly, that's from the album Game Show, and Game Show does an interesting thing to this album, and what Two Door Cinema Club are currently doing is very similar to what the Strokes are doing here, which is fully about integrating the 80s sound and the synth sound. Also, this song is the song where he sounds exactly like Roger Waters, or it might be David Gilmour. I'm not sure who sings, but you know, on the wall, the really scary Scottish voice, loud singing he does.
You can't have your pudding if you don't have your meat.
Yeah, so the bit,
that one.
Yeah, that kind of the wall shouty voice.
Yeah.
Get the
kids.
Like, you just have to find your way through this disguise. That voice, he sounds exactly like him on this. When it gets to... I'm just going to Google lyrics so I can tell you where it is. What's it called? Eternal Sunshine,
yeah? Eternal Summer.
Whoops. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a really great groove to it as well.
Oh, it's great! I love it
with the synths and everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like Games, but they've done it again differently.
Yeah, but again, it has a feeling of alt rock to it with me.
Yeah,
with the much more complex layering to all the musical elements.
So the bit,
which make it a really confusing song for me to sort of rate.
The bit I was talking about is when he goes, "I can't believe it. This is the 11th hour." That bit, you know that bit. Life is such a funny journey. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he sounds so much like Pink Floyd.
Life is such a funny journey.
Oh, it's great, though. It's so mental.
You messed up kids' show thing.
I just respect so much how...
I respect how much he doesn't give a toss.
Yeah.
Because he goes... Yeah, for vocals, he just goes full out ridiculous.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing.
But I'm so happy. At this point,
I was like, "Thank you, palette, well played."
But
it's such a fun song.
It is, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. Unlike a lot of the other songs, this is probably the first song that didn't feel like it brought that much new to the table to me.
Oh, musically. I just can't agree. I just can't. Because of it's mainly because of his vocal. Because he's never he does stuff on this that he has not done anywhere else at all. at all.
Yeah,
No,
I
no, no,
suppose so.
no. That whole shouty thing, it's
Yeah,
completely
okay.
new,
Tell you what,
and he does it a lot.
I'll agree that he does, but the sort of 80s synth style is done a lot more in sort of Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus and all the sort of alt rock feeling.
I prefer this song to
layering.
Brooklyn
It's like the
Bridge
adults
to
talking.
Chorus, though.
Well,
It's much funner and it's happier and it's just more fun, and the vocals are really lovely.
It's easy to listen to. It's easy to listen to.
It's so summery,
Well,
which works.
That's because it is summer.
Yeah, but like,
how are you going to feel in winter?
No, honestly,
when you're feeling cold and horrible.
I don't know. I probably won't listen to it. This is a very summer album.
Yes, you will.
I probably will. I mean,
I think I agree it's a summer album.
I don't know.
Not the adults are talking.
No, I mean it's very. I first listened to it at night time, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this song is better than you think it is. Obviously, then I'm a big fan of this song. Apart from the fact it sounds like Two Doors in My Club thing, so I'm gonna have to get over that.
Yes, you are.
No, I think it's I think it's really great. It's such a jam.
Yep.
And then we have the best song on the album.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have the emotional centerpiece at the very least of the album, I'd say. It almost certainly is the best because it's the most sort of, it leans the most into that style and almost completely abandons the normal drums, bass, and guitar. Almost completely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of bass drum and there's a bit of bass at the end.
Yeah, and I said almost.
Well, when the guitar does come in, it is really lovely. I'm a big fan of that bit.
Oh yeah, and that's, I think, probably the best part of the song.
Yeah, it's the best part of the album.
But it's consistently great, and I think not that the others don't necessarily, but this one warrants its length the most. I think.
Well, it doesn't ever outstay its welcome at all.
No, because it only really sort of repeats its normal phrase once,
and then
goes to a new section and it's over.
Yeah.
It's quite astonishing, really.
I mean, this is the song on the album that kind of competes to be one of the best Stroke songs. It's really hard. It's really hard to compare it to. I mean, it's hard to rank Stroke songs anyway because they're all of the best ones are all around the same level. If
you play this and then play Barely Legal,
or Hard to Explain or something, it's like what?
How the hell? Hard to Explain can maybe be closer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the most sort of I don't know what the word is.
Fun.
Sort of raw.
Yeah, Barely Legal's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
You can't. You just can't. Yeah, but that's so impressive.
Yeah.
But his voice is so great on both. I can't believe it's the same singer. Now we're actually talking about it.
No, exactly.
You have to draw a dividing line in their work in order to stomach all this stuff. Like, it's mad.
This is their biggest sort of shift, I think, musically.
You know what? It actually might be.
Yeah, which is surprising considering how much they had changed.
But it's also surprising because it doesn't not make sense. Nothing on this jumps out as me as, this doesn't make sense. This is the next logical thing for them to do. It feels like this record feels like such a logical progression for them.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely the most different, the most interesting, for sure. It borders on transcendent at times.
Yeah, because it's about the vibe of the mood of the piece, which is why the lengths of the songs are so long, because it's about you soaking in that atmosphere rather than rolling with the punches of every single moment you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
much more mature sort of thing for him to do.
Oh, I mean, this is definitely the most mature album. This and Angles are the most mature albums.
I think this is more mature, but again, because of what we were saying earlier about his lyrics, sort of striding the line between youth and maturity without being juvenile, but sort of maybe being juvenile in sort of context, in setting, as it were.
Yeah.
But talking about it from the perspective of someone who's sort of much more understanding. I mean, I can't if you listen to Barely Legal, you can't imagine him being a father, for example. Whereas now, obviously, he is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think you can definitely tell that kind of sort of, because there are sort of paternal elements to the song, aren't there? About him talking about, people, his parents arguing and stuff. Isn't that in the lyrics?
Yeah. Well, it's just that's what they do right in front of you, and because the video.
I think the music video
makes you think about that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And a lot of the music video uses a lot of cartoons that he might have seen when he was a kid, so stuff like Watership Down and but also kind of more anime stuff. as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really. I mean, if that is a reference, I didn't really sort of get that element. But
yeah. Well, I don't know because the Watership Down thing. I thought, well, this must be a reference. And also, I think he really looks like kind of Ash from Pokemon in the in the music video. Kid Julian, he really looks like he should be in Pokemon.
Oh man, it does. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it does have that kind of feel.
Yeah.
People walking around. I don't want to think about it. It's just too weird.
Yeah,
it's difficult to think of any things to say for Out the Door because we've been talking about this song on and off for like 3 weeks.
It's just so cinematic. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
This song is a song that I will associate the first 2 months of this year with.
Yeah, for
the first 2 months of 2020, I'll think, what music? Oh yeah, Out the Door.
And it will definitely be the most iconic song of the album.
Probably.
Oh, for sure. Not just because it was, the first one of them they released. I do think it stands out as, like I say, the emotional sort of centerpiece of the album. Because it feels extremely serious at times.
It feels really serious.
Yeah.
It feels
actually getting real for a few
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah, it feels like, oh my goodness, I really need to listen to you. This is like you've taken a moment to tell the other guys to be quiet so that you can really make a point. So I'm gonna listen. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
At no point in his album is he going, "Oh, I didn't give a fuck."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then when
he's dropped it,
he really cares. This song, he actually sounds. He loses his apathy basically.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. I think. And I reckon that might not sit well with some people.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I must admit, I kind of missed some of that sort of element, but he still has his swagger.
But I wouldn't say on the whole album that he loses his apathy. There is apathy here. It's just less than usual. I mean, life is such a funny journey. I mean, that's hilarious. Like he's properly laughing at himself.
Yeah, that feels. Yeah, again, that feels more like a parody than it does.
It feels self-mocking.
Adults are talking. I agree. And Ode to the Mets later, that kind of has it. But
still, it's
definitely less.
They're still talking about serious things.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's interesting how less present that element of his personality is there.
Yeah, but because his vocals are just so swaggerlicious, awesome, and he's showing off every moment. There's no moment of this where I'm not incredibly impressed with him.
Yeah,
and I feel proud of him. It's like, well played, Julian. Legend. Yeah. I think he's the best living rock star in the world for his voice. Maybe, I don't know, Tom York.
I mean.
Yeah, Tom York. Sorry.
Depends what you mean. I mean, Paul McCartney's still alive.
But his voice isn't at top notch right now.
All right, well, a little bit harsh, but sure.
Yeah.
Currently doing albums and singing properly. I'll probably agree with you. He's definitely up there.
Yeah. I think he's definitely top 10 rock singers ever, but that's just me. Maybe.
That's really tricky.
That's a different episode, really, isn't
it? He might make it in there.
Yeah.
He's definitely of artists starting in this millennium. He's probably number one.
Well, he started this millennium. Well, I don't know if he's definitely top two because I mean it depends. It depends how much you rate someone like Chris Martin. Really.
Well,
because it's very.
He started in 1999. Oh no, the first album's 2000.
Exactly, so it depends what you mean. It depends what you're going for. In terms of as a rocky rock singer, yeah, Julian kills it. It's the best.
But also, just generally, Chris Martin's he hasn't got as much personality in his voice.
I don't know if that's true.
His vocal range itself is up there. But I think Julian brings way more personality to the table. No, he does. Julian
is different. It's what they're conveying is different. Like, he's swaggerlicious, whereas Chris Martin has literally no swag. Like, it's just emotion.
No, he's just a big girl.
Well, I don't know if that's fair. Okay.
It is.
Shall we talk about the next one, which I'm sure you know is one of my favourites?
This is my jam.
I love this so much.
I was so happy with Why Are Sundays So Depressing.
I was literally like, it's like a kind of Gratisfaction, but chill.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of the proper New York vibe. The drums on that kind of... The drums have that kind of... the smack to that snare. It sounds so chili peppery. The guitar when it comes in is gorgeous. It's so chili peppery.
I felt like the square in a buddy cop movie who has to learn how to be cool, and I sort of like, oh, my shoulders are moving
Yeah.
to the beat. It was so infectious. Yeah, it was so cool.
You know the bit in the second verse where he's like, I'm just going to look for it because I'm new to this, so... it's automatic! That bit. Oh my goodness. That is probably in my top moments of vocal on the album. Absolutely. He sounds like it, and also I think this song is his Lou Reed song on the album. It's the most Lou Reed.
Yeah.
Very,
for sure.
So Lou Reed. Very sweet Hasselhoff.
Also, this song is what I was expecting. Not, I don't mean like I was hoping. I mean, this is what I was expecting the album would be when I first heard the first couple of songs.
Oh, okay.
So that it would be like almost like a stripped back, sort of, still like punchy, but a little bit more analog version of some of the stuff they'd done in the 2010s. I mean, it's because there's not as much of the sort of synthy keyboard stuff on here, but it is still there.
I mean, yeah.
It's really weird, but this is what I kind of expected.
Yeah. By the way, he says in this, I scramble, fight just like a child. Just saying. And at the end he says, the click was always in you, Fab. It was never on. Oh my goodness, that's great.
Oh,
because the drumming, it was never on.
Yeah.
It was never on. Oh. Fab's a legend.
As Ringo would say, I am the fucking click track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's so nice.
Yeah, so lovely. It's so cute.
More artists should do lyrics complimenting the band.
Yeah, exactly. It's lovely. Thank you,
brothers. Such a family-friendly thing to do.
Yeah. So my least favourite part of the song is... it's still good. Everything about the song is great. But when he goes, I want your time... I mean, that was sung awfully because I can't remember how it goes. But that bit's just weird. So weird. But the verses are what I live for on this.
But it's because he's doing his sort of Lou Reed impression. And sometimes it kind of comes off as a bit contrived. That he's just trying to sound weird for the sake of it.
Maybe. I just don't understand how parts of this album happened, to be honest. Like the start of Ode to the Mets with that weird noise that cuts out.
We'll get to that.
I just don't understand. I mean, fine, fair play. Like, but what? Like, why Sunday's so depressing is like that and Selfless is just my jam. Like, they're just so nice.
Yeah. They feel quite post-punk revival-y, weirdly.
Yeah, they do in like a very chill way. I don't know,
but not like the usual Strokes way. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. They just feel really like 70s.
They're all over this shop, aren't they?
Yeah, not the same.
They've got to play pop punk and
Are you
old rock from the 90s.
It's true.
Sorry, what?
Are you going to talk about the next one?
Yeah, I don't have as much to say about why Sunday's so depressing and Not the Same anymore.
I have loads to say about Not the Same anymore.
All I have to say is that I like how it's much more sad and somber and it works. And I love the line, you make a better window than a door.
Yeah, it's really funny.
That is great.
And it's really clever.
Yeah, it's very him. Other than that, I did enjoy it. I feel like that, again, kind of... This may sound a bit harsh. Again, it kind of felt like it overstayed its welcome a little bit.
Big reveal. You ready for the big reveal I set up earlier? This is the song where they drop the ball. It's the only place they drop the ball. So hit the chorus in this. The chorus in this is seriously not interesting. The chords are just straight rhythm, but it's not serving a real purpose. I could not tell you how it goes at all.
No, it didn't feel that catchy to me.
No, it's the chorus.
Unlike Why Sunday So Depressing, even though that wasn't that interesting, it was still cool.
Why Sunday So Depressing is so cool. I love it.
Yeah,
but this is the worst out song on the album. But the guitar. I mean, like the verses are really pretty, even though Remember by John Lennon.
I do remember.
Well, this song has a very Beatlesy chord progression. It's like the classic.
Have you just been listening to Plastic Ono Band?
I just think this. I don't know why. No, not really.
You're obsessed with it.
This album really reminds me of it. I don't know why, but this Not the Same anymore.
It's Julian's attitude and his voice does sound like early single stuff for
Lennon,
for John Lennon.
Well, the mad thing is that it says on their Strokes bio that I only looked at for the first time ever yesterday is, let me read the start of it for you. It says, equally inspired by tunesmiths like Buddy Holly and John Lennon. And I was like,
vocally
really?
It makes sense, but lyrically I'd have never thought about that.
Yeah, but I guess on this there's a lot about childhood and fatherhood and stuff.
Yeah, being a father. Yeah, that's a massive deal for
Lennon.
John Lennon's early
Yeah, exactly.
Career.
And also you've got to remember that in his solo career, John Lennon is a New York artist.
Yeah,
So,
and also he mellows
yeah,
compared to his usual energetic stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's still some energy
That's
stuff.
weird. How many comparisons there are to that?
Yeah. So the chords in Remember, do you remember when we were young? That whole bit,
Yeah.
you can sing that to this.
Oh no.
No, it's not a
Oh,
problem.
this is yeah.
It's a bit like Dominoes off of
I
Egypt
do.
Station Bobcat.
Oh,
It's
I
a bit
love
like that
that.
kind of vibe. But it's just such a nice chord sequence. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is definitely. I'm just going to clarify. I don't think the song is bad, and I'm sort of glad it exists because I really like the verses.
Yeah.
But overall, it's the one that you could
It didn't
kill.
wow me.
Yeah. I mean, I was wowed by the verses. I was not for the
Yeah, and
music, but
some of the lyrics
for
did
Julian.
stand out.
It's the lyrics that make this worth being here.
I think that's just generally a thing. Is that the song, any Stroke song will survive if Julian's on it.
Well, I don't think that's true
More
because
so than
First Impressions
yeah.
and Come Down Machine, where they're bad, it's because
No,
Julian's
no.
bad.
Yeah, but that's my point. That's what I'm saying. So even if the music in a Stroke song is really good, if Julian's not good, it's not going to work. But but I'm saying this, even if the music doesn't hold up, if Julian's good, doesn't matter. It's going to go well.
So what you're saying is all of the Strokes rides on Julian.
Mostly, more than the typical band, I think they rely on him.
Yeah,
as the sort of front
which isn't
man.
anything against them because they're all great musicians.
No. It's just to do with what where their libido comes from as a band. That's all.
So I guess we just have to talk about Outta the Mets now.
We are, which is
go on.
Bananas. Again.
Oh my goodness, it's mental. Oh, the end of this song. See, this is the Strokes album that has the most amount of sounds like to me. So the end of this, you can sing, I can't smile without you. You can sing it to the last minute. It's the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of a shame, but it's also kind of really funny because it's like, well, why does a Strokes song sound like that?
I know, but this is the most alt rock and weird sounding of all of them, I think. Oh,
it also really reminded me of Rihanna. When you listen to the second verse where he's singing, it sounds so kind of like, I know this is really weird, but I just listened to it, I thought, this really reminds me of Rihanna. Like the kind of simple layering with the kind of, because the weird thing is that Rihanna isn't a crooner, but she kind of, I don't know, it's this weird thing.
This I think has the best vocals on the album.
Oh, you do?
With a possible exception about the door.
Yeah, I think the song's great.
I think Julian is absolute top form in this. It's a really nice way to end it because I think again the first song on the album and the last one to me feel the most of alt rock and kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say serious.
Yeah.
Serious might not be the right word, but they bookend it really well. I love the bit in this song when he says drums please.
Drums please, Fab, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he actually say Fab?
Yeah, he says Fab. Well, according to Genius lyrics.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Again, it's the sort of chatting middle of song and stuff that kind of comes in. It's really nice.
It feels really like they're friends again. It's like they're trying to make a big deal of them actually getting on.
Well, that's what I mean. I think we may not have actually been privy to a lot of this stuff at the time, but it seems when doing a little bit of research that actually they were having a massive problem as a band throughout Angles, and we knew that their recording sessions and Angles they weren't very happy with,
and
them.
They were very separate. So apparently, Julian used to email in a lot of his vocals.
Oh yeah,
from home and stuff.
Did.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not with email.
And obviously, the Smiths didn't get on that well. I mean, Morrissey said they were the unhappiest years of his life. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty.
That's pretty
impressive to make Morrissey the most upset in your life. His life.
I mean, yeah, but impressive. I mean that brought the best out in him. So
brilliant.
Happy Morrissey is incredibly offensive and horrible.
Yeah, make Morrissey sad again. That's what I say. We'll make that a hashtag.
The Morrissey Defence
League. Vote Labour. Make Morrissey angry again.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So basically, another hot take is that I think this has got the least good last track on a Strokes album.
No, I disagree.
Okay, what do you think is better than?
Julian is so great in this that it kills. Okay, let me go through.
But literally every Strokes album ends with an absolute banger.
You're gonna hate me.
You're gonna say call it fake, call it karma, but I don't.
I am gonna say it.
I think it's a load of rubbish.
All right, if we just had a list of them and listened to them on their own, fine. This might be at the bottom of the list. However, as an ender to an
album, you're pulling that one. Okay,
I am.
Based on that one, I agree. Fine.
It is, but that's what it's meant to do.
Yeah, fine.
And I'm sorry, but Call It Fate, Call It Karma does not do that job very well.
I mean, it kind of does. It kind of just goes, woo, whatever.
I wish it was a sing. No, but I mean, okay, it technically represents what's wrong with the album, but I don't want it to do that. I want it to round off the album really nicely.
I just don't think every album needs rounding off really nicely, though.
But imagine if this song and if this album ended with Call It Fate, Call It Karma, you'd be confused out of your mind.
Oh, I don't know. It'd work a lot better.
Well, maybe. Yeah. But that's even bigger criticism than you've just given. Of course.
Fine. I mean, when I said what I said, I meant based on songs.
Yeah.
I still think this song is probably like an 8. It doesn't annoy me how it sounds a bit like I Can't Smile Without You.
I think right now it's kind of hard for me to rate most of these songs except for the two.
Yeah. I would probably say there's 1 6 and then everything else is a 7 and an 8.
Yeah. Generally speaking,
yeah,
it doesn't feel like it drops below very good at any one point.
No.
Which is really impressive.
That's what I mean. Like, but there's not
That's difficult.
But it doesn't feel like there's much stuff on here I would put on their greatest hits or like their best of. That's the weird thing. Yeah,
we've only really listened to this album 2 or 3 times.
I do think there's a chance I'll stop liking this as well, but I also think there's an equal chance I'll start loving it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But you're so capricious with your attitudes towards new music.
That'll be so capricious.
You'll be probably what?
It's a Lou Reed thing.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What album?
It's from The Bells. He says, "Don't be so capricious." It's really weird.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's from the song "Stupid Man," which is mental. You should. If
I do need to get on his solo stuff.
Yeah, The Bells by Lou Reed is like a solid 7. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's absolutely nuts, and it's got some of his best solo songs, like "Families." "Families" are a really good song, and "City Lights," which is the same chords as "Satellite Love," and you can sing the same thing, but it's a really cool song because his vocal's so low on it. It's really impressive.
Okay,
I'm actually so exhausted.
We're not done.
Okay,
because I think we should try and sort of summarize feelings on it now we've gone through the songs.
Okay,
I think generally speaking, Casablancas on the whole is back to his form.
He's back to Angle's equivalent. He's at Angle's equivalent form, which is what I would call top Casablancas form.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's sort of the first major relief that stands out to me. Yeah. The other thing is that to me it feels more beat heavy and more of a full sound and less not like their analog sort of roots.
Yeah,
I'd say. I mean, I know closer to something like Angles, but even further.
Yeah, but this is the most produced Strokes album.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. In fact, actually, is it the same studio and everything as their other albums?
I don't know if it's the same place. It's the same producer as.
Oh, is it?
It's Rick Rubin. Do you want me to look up? Do you want me to look up where it was produced?
Yeah, look it up. I'll be interested to know.
Okay.
Because that was saying that they're very particular in the studio.
By the way, do you want to know the Metacritic score? Do you want to know?
Oh, go on then.
It's got 78 out of 100. Oh, most people are giving it like 4 or like kind of about 4-star.
Oh, I think it was 4 out of 10. I was like, Jesus.
Pitchfork has given it 5.7 out of 10, but I mean, I tell you what, it really doesn't matter what critics think. I hope anyone listening to this is just hopefully going to get more out of listening to it from what we've said.
Yeah,
because that's the only point of it.
Yeah, if anyone repeats what we say without listening to the album, you're a scumbag.
Yeah, absolutely. Form your own opinion. If you love, what's the one that we didn't like as much? Not the Same Anymore. Can you just tell us what you loved about it? Because I want to love everything, if you can. So
that sounds exhausting to me. I want to hate some things.
Yeah, fair enough. It is quite fun.
The other thing.
Go on.
No, we've got too much stuff to go through.
I was just going to say that Come Down Machine did worse critically, but Pitchfork gave it a high mark. Also, Angles critically, just while we're talking about it, got 71 out of 100, and also got very mixed reviews, anywhere between 4-star, 8 out of 10, and like 4 out of 10. So,
yeah, but that is going to be due to the fact that was their first attempt at really changing up their sound significantly.
Yes, huge.
That was always going to produce people whinging about it.
Oh,
it's not real Strokes.
So Angles isn't produced by Rick Rubin, who made their other stuff.
That's interesting.
Come Down Machine isn't produced by him either.
Maybe that's why they don't remember their recordings of them.
Yeah, but neither is Future, Present, Past. So the new Abnormal is, though, Rick Rubin. And Rick Rubin, so I'm just going to double check this. Oh, he works for Def Jam Records or something. Let me just check. Maybe I'm completely wrong about stuff.
Would you think maybe he's a completely new person?
No, I've heard of him, though, so I thought it was the same guy. Is This It was done by... Why do I recognise Rick Rubin, then? Yeah, because he didn't produce their first two albums either.
This is going to have to be homework you're going to have to do before the next episode.
Yeah, so I was wrong. Rick Rubin,
you're going to have to come back and tell us.
Yeah, Rick Rubin hasn't produced anything else that they've done, but I'm pretty sure he's in the artwork for Is This It?
Oh, okay. Maybe he was an engineer or something. There's a good shout that he was involved in something.
Yeah,
something
maybe.
Else they did.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. If anyone else knows, just, you don't have to discount all my opinions just because I forgot what 1251 was 51 and not 41. It's not like, come on.
Because you've lost your mind.
I've lost my mind. Like, okay.
Yeah. I think my only real criticism of the album, and it's not really a big deal, is that it sometimes feels like some of the songs ever so slightly outstay their welcome, which isn't a big deal, but obviously, it adds up to the album being
I'll have to see.
Only 9 songs.
I'll have to see. I'll have to listen to it enough to know whether I agree with you there.
Especially Eternal Summer. I think Eternal Summer felt really eternal, haha. But I think that went on for a little bit too long. But again, with the sort of style they're going for, they can get away with it. I mean, if you tried to make any of their early songs 6 minutes long, you'd be laughed out of the room.
Yeah, you'd be like, what? Why?
It'd be a joke.
Maybe that's why that kind of what you say beat heavy thing works. But also,
I know,
this is an album where just overall the choruses aren't important at all.
No,
like a lot of it is just about it being all like different sections, different instrumentals. Great.
I think that's down to the guitars not being as. I mean, they are. They're more present than I was expecting. Which is good.
They do a lot.
Very glad about
they do a lot, but they're not necessarily the driving force. There's a lot of keyboards being driving force. Oh, what did you think of the bass on the record? I thought it was really nice.
It was nice. I think. I mean, with the exception again of Bad Decisions, where he's in his normal role.
Yeah.
He has to sort of him and the drummer have to fill that new void, and again, he went for sort of punchy, soft, and slow. He didn't go very melodic much of the time.
That's not his thing.
Not his thing.
His thing is filling out the sound. Really.
I want there to be a much more bass-driven Strokes album next time. I want him to be the focal point. I want Nikolai Fraiture to be
the friendly giant.
The friendly giant with the stupid hair. I want him to be more important on the next album because I'm not saying he gets shafted or anything, but the bass is always the thing that I have the least to say about a Strokes album, I think. And that again, it doesn't bother me because especially in this album, obviously everything musically is so rich.
It all comes together. That's what I mean. So the richness
it's produced really well
from the bass, won't it? That's what I mean about fleshing out the sound. And
it does.
Yeah.
But again, with it being an 80s thing, there's not very much melodic bass.
Yeah,
it's all based on.
It's just the sad truth that everything is in service of the vocal. But it's also the best thing about it,
and especially for the Strokes.
Yeah,
everything has to, it's like everything is sort of like a bottleneck that sort of is stoppered by Julian.
Yeah, what are you?
Weird.
Are we
wine bottle of the Strokes?
Sorry.
No, that's it. No, don't worry. Cool. I can't be bothered to explain.
But that's really it. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh man.
Okay.
But
go on.
There's little. Also, another thing. This is what you're saying with the chorus as well.
Yeah.
There's very little in the way of crescendos and sort of powerful moments, which I think can sort of hold it back because the album stays quite soft and almost somber for a lot of it. It doesn't, with the exception of Why Are Sundays So Depressing, doesn't make you get up and jump around as much. I don't think.
Yeah, it's true. Bad Decisions does.
Bad Decisions does.
I mean, At the Door's got a great crescendo. I mean, it's got the best chorus. So.
Yeah, but it's not. But that's not necessarily that energetic.
I did want to say that the synths at the end make it really sound like they're waves rushing over the shore and stuff, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of very beautiful imagery.
Yeah.
It's really tricky. I think. Yeah.
So should we rate it?
Yeah, so, out of 10, I'm going to say high 7.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think this album's really good. What did you expect me to say?
I don't know, to be honest. I kind of expected you to either go like a mid-6 or a mid-8 for some reason. I thought you'd go either extreme because I can never tell what you think about albums.
I think this album will either, in my estimation, drop to a mid-7 or go up to a low 8.
Okay.
I think
happens.
it doesn't have the high points that Room on Fire has, but as an overall listen, it's as good.
Excellent.
The only thing about this album is it doesn't have that many like seriously high points.
Yeah, I think next time we talk about any kind of post-punk revival band, or even if it is the Strokes, we'll come back and see what we think has happened to it since then. Because it'll be on both of our like playlists and stuff for the next couple of months, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm going to listen to this.
This is a big deal.
I'm going to listen to this non-stop for the next 2 weeks.
And it's so fresh in our minds that we're going to probably listen to this in a week's time and think, wow, we're fucking idiots.
Yeah, it'll be really awkward. This whole thing will have been really awkward.
Oh, it'll be horrendous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm genuinely exhausted from this one.
This has been Out of 10. Thanks so much for listening, and bravo if you made it to the end, you little masochist. If it wasn't abundantly clear, we're very new to this, so we appreciate any listeners. We're not fully set up yet, but we'll have our Twitter and email up in no time, so you can keep track of our nonsense even better. See you soon. It's okay, no one can hear us, because this should be the bit where there's a voiceover over the top of it.
Yeah, we're done.
That'll be fine.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're good.
Seriously, that absolutely exhausted me.
Goodbye, Panicky buffoons.
Goodbye.